When it comes to recovery after a race, let's just say a marathon, I feel like a lot of runners become a little bit more lackadaisical the days after the race. Like, you put in the work, you ran the race, and now you're just vegging out after the race. Now, don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. But I think that runners should be doing a little bit more post-marathon or post-race to help them recover and get them ready for the off-season or whether it be another race. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I wanted to go over a couple of things that I think a lot of runners could use or utilize when it comes to post-marathon and getting ready for the off-season and potentially the next race after you just had your big race. For starters, one thing that runners have to realize is that running a marathon, it not only takes a hit on your muscles, it takes a hit on your immune system. Sometimes runners have a tendency of actually catching a cold a lot faster than they would normally throughout their training cycle, so recovery is really important after you run your marathon. Another point I'd like to make about marathon recovery is it's not a matter of how quickly you can get back to running and how quickly you can get back out the door. It's more about how quickly you can get your body to fully recover so you are able to get back outside and running. Now, the length of marathon recovery, it really does depend on the runner. It depends on how fast you run it, like your pace. It depends on if you actually run the distance before, and also depends on your overall fitness level. As a running coach, I recommend that a lot of runners don't necessarily start running until a minimum of 7 days after their marathon. Now, I know that we're all different and we all have different ways of recovering, we all have different ways of actually training in general, but I strongly believe that at least 7 days a minimum is perfect for recovery. Minimum 7 days. With that being said, here are 4 things that I do post-marathon, the days afterwards, to help get me back to running with less injuries and feeling stronger leading into the off season and also potentially for my next race. First up is sleep. This is the absolute best thing you can do for your body when it comes to recovery. It's a time period where your body can repair your muscles, and the best part, you don't have to do anything, just sleep. You want to catch up on all the sleep that you had missed throughout your whole training cycle, or at least try to catch up on that sleep. Next up is keeping up on electrolytes and fueling. Just because you're not training as much, you're not training at all, doesn't necessarily mean that you don't need to fuel properly or hydrate properly. Sure, you may not be sweating as much, but you have to remember your body is actually playing catch up. Plus, staying hydrated daily is overall good for your body anyways. When it comes to fueling, having well-balanced meals actually helps out a lot. That means whole grains, greens, proteins, fats, carbs, all of that. It all matters right now. Not that it didn't matter beforehand, but I feel like during your training cycle, it's more heavily based on carbs and carb loading and getting that energy into your system. Now is the time period where you get more nutrients into your system and not necessarily lack on the carbs, but add in a lot of the other things as well. This is where you're going to be providing a lot of nutrients to your body to help not necessarily recovery, but also build healthy daily habits. I'm a firm believer that having balanced meals for breakfast, lunch, and for dinner, and maybe some snacks in there too, provides all the energy you may need for the day and for weeks, and also leading into training as well. After that, I always make sure I'm doing some kind of foam rolling or massage gun or anything similar to that. Although I feel like having an actual massage may be the best bet, but we all don't necessarily have access to that. We may find ourselves feeling tight, sore, fatigued. Finding a way to relax your muscles and getting all the knots out and etc. from your muscles goes a long way, especially post-marathon. Restore our muscles and recover properly and get them primed and ready to go when we're ready to enter our next off-season or our next race cycle. And don't forget about compression socks or boots. I technically don't have the compression boots, but I have compression socks that work really well. As runners, we're working on inflammation and getting the right amount of blood flow to certain areas to help with recovery. And to round this all out, there's one thing that I actually particularly use that kind of hits all the notes that I had hit already when it comes to inflammation, sleep, and overall recovery, and that's tart cherry juice. And this is one of the best things that I actually use during this time period, but you also can use it during taper time, which is actually has dual function when you think about it. It helps with muscle soreness, faster recovery, boosts your immune system, and improved sleep. So like I said, it rounds everything all together. I've been using this a lot before and after a marathon, and actually has been helping out a lot when it comes to recovery. Although this really shouldn't be used on its own, I like to use all the other methods as well to kind of help round everything out. So it's not necessarily just cherry juice, it's everything else that kind of goes along with it. Now, when you're ready to get back into running, there's a couple things that runners should remember. Number one, your first run back, it may seem a little off, like you've never even run before, and that's okay. Don't freak out. Your body will remember what to do. Next one, don't go out too fast on your very first run back. You may feel like you're actually invincible. You're not. You have to take this time to ease back into your running. The key is to work smarter, not harder. And this leads into my next one. The run-walk method is actually perfect for this time period. Not only does it lower the intensity of your exercising, it gets you back into actually exercising. It gives your body and your brain a little bit of a break. The next one is to keep your mileage around 3 miles or so when you first are coming back. You can kind of use this as a gauge to see if you need a little bit more recovery, or if you need to take a couple of days off, or if you're good to go for the next couple of days. But with that being said, it's also good to try every other day when it comes to running. Now, this is only just a start. It's not necessarily long term. It's just a start to get you back into running. This is also a prime opportunity to add in a little bit of strength training as well, to kind of get you into that habit, into that cycle of actually doing strength training, to prime you for during your off season, so you're actually doing it before you actually get into your next training cycle. That's all I have for today. I hope you all are recovering well from your races. Let me know down in the comments what you tend to do post-marathon, or if you do something very similar to what I do. Now, there's really no right or wrong way to do this, but I feel like there are ways that you can actually recover a lot faster and a lot better by doing some of the ones that I had listed out. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you're having fun on your runs, and remember to keep the good vibes going, and let's get after it.